With all the outlandish claims in Nintendo leaks these days, does the fact that we've heard nothing about Mario Kart 9 from these credible leakers mean it might actually happen?
I'm Backrolls.
And I'm Mac Fraser, and we're the Nintendo Nerds.
We're a comedy and gaming duo, here to help you craft and play your way to a better day.
We met in the not-too-distant past during some spirited online Mario Kart, and as it turns out, we share a love for art, gaming, and all things Nintendo.
And we want to share our nerdy knowledge with you.
So stick around, because in today's video, we're going to be having a fun conversation about our picks for the retro tracks we want to see in the next Mario Kart game. So this is a video that I've wanted to do for a while, and I think just because other things have been going on, we've kind of pushed it back, and truthfully, we're not really playing as much Mario Kart as we once did, that year and a half ago that we met online. But I'm going to say that I kind of miss it, and it's a game that I always have a good time playing, and so I was really happy to look through the old track lists and try and pick some that I really enjoy.
Yeah, me too. We had a lot of fun also poking around it. All of the news lately these days is like, oh, there's a new Paper Mario happening, and oh, there's a new 2D Metroid coming soon. And it's like, we just like to hold out hope that because we haven't heard anything about Mario Kart, maybe that means it's actually going to happen. Our leakers like to make these outlandish claims to get people hyped, and Nintendo always manages to surprise us. So we're kind of expecting the same, which is why we're still placing our bets on the fact that we might actually get another Mario Kart pretty soon.
Well, and I'm really hoping that given the success of the Mario Kart Mobile, or whatever it's called, Mario Kart Tour for the phones, that maybe they will use this as an opportunity to say, hey, we brought some people back to Mario Kart who maybe haven't been playing because they haven't owned a Nintendo console in a while, but maybe it would coax them into picking up a Switch if we do a new one. My fingers are crossed for that, because it's been a minute since I've been playing Mario Kart 8. I bought it when it came out on the Wii U in 2014.
Yeah, so for those of you who have been playing Mario Kart for that long, I'm sure you're really thirsty for some new tracks, and we really loved what they did with some of the retro tracks in Mario Kart 8. Like, look at the Game Boy Advance Cheese Land. That one is so much fun. So we're gonna jump right in, and we had a very, very scientific reasoning. No, we didn't. We just picked one in chronological order from each of the previous Mario Kart generations. Just one that we thought was a ton of fun, that was very indicative of the era, or just one that we haven't seen in a long time. We didn't really. We just went with our gut and had a lot of fun picking this list. So why don't we just jump in chronological order, Mac? Let's start with Super Mario Kart. What was your pick?
Okay, so I am not starting on a very original path here, but I have to tell you, and everyone we play with knows, I love Donut Plains. I love the aesthetic. I love the music. I love the track. I think that Donut Plains 3 has one of the best track layouts of a Mario Kart game, and we were lucky enough to get an get a remaster of it, if you want to call it that, in Mario Kart 8. So honestly, my pick is basically any of the Donut Plains from the Super Nintendo. I just want to see more of those. I just thought it was great.
Yes, I really like going back and looking at the original track and then seeing what they've done to it. It looked really amazing, and the Monty moles popping out offered some fresh variety to it. I thought it was really spectacular, so I wouldn't be upset seeing Donut Plains 3 once again.
Well, and where you were talking about, how some of these retro tracks have come to life in a different way, it really, these tracks are unrecognizable, some of these retro ones that they pulled into the newer generations, especially if you're looking at the ones that have made their way onto Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart 7. But yeah, I'm thinking that's really all I had for that. And of course, I'm sorry, but I'm throwing it in there. Rainbow Road, Super NES Rainbow Road. And I think that's one for both of us.
Mac will champion that track until the end of time.
Over and over and over and over again. How about you? What was your pick for Super Nintendo or Super Mario Kart?
So for me, I'd like to see one of the Vanilla Lakes get a fresh coat of paint. I think that, for me, when I went back and looked at them, I think Vanilla Lake 1 has a lot more personality. There are so many things you can bump off of on such a short track that it's pretty chaotic. And we haven't seen the return of the mechanic where if you hit ice blocks, or if you hit those blocks in the Boo boardwalks from the Super Nintendo, that the blocks are gone and then you can fall off of the track. It would be nice to see some kind of modern iteration of Vanilla Lake where you really pinball across the track and there's kind of a chance to dip into the water. That might be a ton of fun.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that there are a lot of ways that they could reimagine this. I think in the last iteration, they really were looking at ways to make the worlds look like present day games, but I think that maybe looking into the next Mario Kart, we could see things where different mechanics are introduced to do things like that. I think that's a smart play. So I just realized our list here is a little backwards, but we're gonna keep it in chronological order. So on to the N64. Let's go with you first.
Okay, well, I think Nintendo 64 has the ultimate Bowser's Castle. We get a Bowser's Castle every time, and it's always great. But for me, I think my favorite one of all time, and it still hasn't been topped, is the Nintendo 64. It's so spectacular, going up and down the staircases and the cascading spiral up the stone spiral staircase up at the end. Oh, it's terrific. I think it's a great level design. It's super inventive, and the thwomps in the beginning too. It's just chaos. I love it.
Yeah, there's so much for one track. There is so much variety in that one, especially for like a game as old as Mario Kart 64. There was a lot going on that track. You know, every room was kind of different from the next in terms of the obstacles that it threw your way. And that's one that I really love too. I love the layout of that track. I love the way that it works. And I think that would be a great one to bring back.
Well, what about you? How was your N64?
Oh my goodness. So I have to say that I can't believe that they haven't done it yet. Wario Stadium. Like I understand that it doesn't have quite the same charm and appeal that it did maybe on the N64 days when you could skip half the level.
See, that's what I want.
I just think that it would make for a broken game, and I feel like if we were to see Wario Stadium make a return, I feel like Nintendo would find a way to stop that from happening, because I think that was kind of it was shortcomings of the hardware in 1996 or whatever year it was. You know what I mean? It was maybe something that was overlooked, maybe it's something that wasn't, but I think that if they were to rebuild that track from scratch on newer hardware, I don't think we'd be allowed to do what we did back then.
It would just be such a nightmare to see people cheese that one online if you did have the jump still in, but it's fun to think about.
It really is. We have, going back to kind of the 16-bit era here, we're going to the Game Boy Advance now. We'll stick with you. Let's have you go again.
Sure. So, to be perfectly honest, the Game Boy Advance is not my favorite iteration of Mario Kart, but it was truly ambitious to try and put something like that on a Game Boy Advance. So we still think there have been some great representations. Like we said in the beginning, Cheeseland in Mario Kart 8 was incredible. So for me, I would like to see what they would do with Sky Garden. We haven't had that many courses that are aerial themed, like up in the sky themed, and that's a very consistent theme in Mario platformers, so I'd like to see what they would do with that one.
I agree. They seem to have really cool ways of reinventing the worlds. You know, you talk a lot about Cheeseland. Another one that came from the Game Boy Advance that's pretty spectacular is Ribbon Road. Like, look at what they built on Mario Kart 8 and that engine with Ribbon Road, and how different they were able to turn a track that was built in 16 bits, you know, all those years ago. But I'm with you on this. I think Sky Garden is a great pick. I really like the Cloud Top Cruise in Mario Kart 8. I think that, you know, with newer hardware, they could find ways to make Sky Garden really, really interesting and dynamic. You know, you could have vines growing through the clouds. You could have clouds moving and all this kind of stuff. And I think it would be really interesting to see. I think that's a really solid pick. Before we kind of started this chat, we were talking a little bit about some of our picks, and we had kind of realized that there wasn't really any beach representation, you know, Koopa Troopa Beach and things like that. And I actually modified my pick for the Game Boy Advance. I had initially said that I wanted it to be
Sunset Wilds.
I think it was Sunset Wilds. Yeah, but you know what? Having a look at like track layouts and just kind of aesthetic, I moved over to Cheap Cheap Island. I think Cheap Cheap Island has a great track layout. I love the aesthetic of it. It's, you know, that orange sunset kind of in the background, and, you know, the water all around. To be honest, it kind of makes me think of one of the tracks from Wave Race 64, where you kind of do the race in the evening time, and it's bright orange everywhere, and you see the sun setting in the background, and you've got all these reflections off the waves. And I think Cheap Cheap Island has a solid aesthetic, and I think it has a solid track layout, and I think that there's a lot that could happen with it.
And you always have a soft spot for Wave Race in your heart. A little Easter egg about our show for anyone who actually watches regularly is that we always wrap our show up with 4th place from Wave Race 64. It's
oh my god,
easy, smooth jazz. We just hope you've enjoyed your time on the Nintendo Nerds. Now listen to 4th place.
Oh, that was very good. Very, very convincing.
If
I
anyone's
imagine.
hiring for 3 a.m. shock jockeys.
Yeah, so that's my pick for the Game Boy Advance one was Cheap Cheap Island. Next in chronological order, we have the GameCube.
Double Dash, not your favorite. I really enjoyed the levels of Double Dash. I kind of had a hard time picking.
For me, like looking back on it, I did have a bit of a hard time trying to pick, tracks that really stood out to me from back in the day. But I think one of the things that I remember the most fondly about that game, even though I would say in the grand scheme of Mario Kart games, even though they're all great, the GameCube one is probably one of the weaker ones for me. But I have such fond memories of it because my brother and I used to play together all those years ago. He's a couple of years younger than I am. And the way that we would do it is both on the same kart. I would drive laps 1 and 3, and he would drive lap 2. And then we would take turns doing the items and stuff. And the thing was, we tended to fight when we played video games back then. We were just kind of at that age where someone would get mad, and that was just kind of what happened. But Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube was something that we actually sat down for hours and played together, and there was no fights.
Yeah, Double Dash was the only time we had a cooperative experience through the Grand Prix, which I did enjoy. I think that was fun. I wouldn't mind seeing that come back, or at least some way to be able to combine your scores when playing together, because my partner and I did try to get all Gold Star ranks through all of Mario Kart 8, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet that it would be. There are some sort of options for team play of sorts. I've never dabbled in it in the newer ones, so I can't really speak to it too much.
So, now that we've dabbled in our Double Dash experience, what would you like to see come back?
I know this is another one of those ones that I think has been redone. I can't remember exactly when, but I think I would pick Daisy Cruiser. That's another one of those ones that it's just different and dynamic. There's the moving tables in the room where you would hold a gala. The room is escaping me right now. The ballroom. Ballroom, there we go. But you have the moving tables in the ballroom. You have to, weave around the pool, and the ship is clearly moving side to side. And yeah, I think that would be one that, given more robust hardware, they could flesh out the ship even more. And I think that they could really find a way to make it very cool.
Oh, I agree. And speaking of levels that, when done up and gussied up, that would look really cool, I had to go with DK Mountain, because that one was just so dynamic at the time, and it's so much fun to race down the mountain. Even though that one has also been redone, I think that one holds up tremendously. I think it's great level design to shoot you up a cannon at the top of the level and then make your way all the way down the mountain for the lap.
It was the first one I think that was one of the first tracks, or maybe the first game to have the cannon in it.
Yes,
if I remember correctly, where you kind of went through the cannon and then shot up to the top of the mountain and had to make your way down.
It was. Yeah, that one was very ambitious level design. I think it was a ton of fun, and it holds up. I'd like to see it done again.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, so next game in the series, Mario Kart DS.
That was a
Mario
great
Kart DS.
one.
I didn't get a DS until later on, and so I did not spend as much time with this one as I think I might have. But I had friends around late high school, college, whenever it was, who were playing a ton of this, because this one was kind of groundbreaking for the series because it was the first one that offered online play.
Online play with one cartridge, you could play with 8 people. The Ghost time trials were killer in this one. It was a cut above. This was a great Mario Kart.
Well, and we haven't seen anything like the challenge modes in any Mario Kart since, I don't think.
No, we haven't.
And I honestly, being on the message, looking at the message boards online and just seeing comments in Mario Kart, that's something that a lot of people seem to miss, because it just gave a different way to play the game. So I don't know, maybe that's something else we'll see in the Mario Kart game, the yet to be announced Mario Kart game. Oh my God, you know what I just thought of? This video is going to start all sorts of leaks. We're gonna start.
We are about it next week and be like, God damn it! Now everyone's talking about the supposed quote unquote reputable source.
We are the steam train in front of the hype train. We're dragging this thing along behind us, and we're gonna see how well it goes. In any case, back to our picks for this. Let's start with you.
Well, spoiler alert, everyone. Brace yourselves. We didn't choose Waluigi Pinball. I just think it's great, but I've seen it a couple of times now, and there's so many great tracks that deserve some time. So I chose Peach Gardens. I think Peach Gardens is so charming. It's got lovely art direction. I love that it's got these long looping turns, but if you happen to have a mushroom, you can boost through the flowers, so there's a lot of dynamic push and pull as far as who can be in the lead, and those chain chomps and the chain chomp hedge maze. That is it's a great track. I really love it.
Again, it's like one of those Bowser's Castles from the N64 days, right? Like there's a lot going on in that one, and I think that there's a good amount of stuff to translate it into something like new and fresh, without a doubt. My next pick for this one is Delfino Square. I don't think that we really have anything on the list that's like this one. I think this one kind of stands on its own. Again, very great art direction. This one, very pretty and just different. I liked this one, and I don't have a whole lot of reason other than I just really enjoyed this track.
It's
and I
great,
think that,
and it's unforgiving. Those stands, if you get hit by one of those, that will kill your time trial just like that.
yeah. So I think that this is one that could really be well served to be remade on the next Mario Kart game.
And the Delfino Square always looks good when you redo it with another graphical update. I think that Super Mario Sunshine color scheme to this day still looks terrific.
Oh, absolutely! It was such a beautiful game. On to the next one, I guess. I'm gonna take the lead on this one. So we're gonna talk about Mario Kart Wii now. This was one that I played a ton of. Like
we all did.
Oh my god! I don't even know how much Mario Kart Wii I played. It was just insane. But I did not care for the motion controls, so I just kind of played with the regular controller, but I still had lots of fun with it. My pick is one that, again, has been remade before, but it's just one that I really enjoy, and for me, that's Maple Tree Way. I like something about me and sunset colors and fall colors, oranges and reds and purples and stuff. I don't know.
Well, that sherbety color scheme just looks so good. I understand why you have a soft spot for it.
It really does, and that one just had, again, a lot of nice, like, fun turns and kind of wacky angles and the bouncy net thing at the end. There was a lot about that one that I really liked, having to avoid the wiggler. Yeah, again, another one of the ones that I picked because I just really. And then your pick actually is one that I know a lot of people, and it's probably one of their favorite Mario Kart tracks of all time.
Oh, absolutely. Coconut Mall. How could you make a list of the best Wii tracks and not include Coconut Mall, you know? Also, shout out again to one of our favorite guests from the Nintendo Builders Corner. You gotta go listen to Insaneintherain's cover of the Coconut Mall track. It's killer. I think Coconut Mall is super charming. There's something about just driving your cart through a building. There's something so wacky about that, and having the cars at the end with your Miis inside the carriages. It's very charming. There's a reason why we all love it. I would love to see it again.
It's a fun track to play for all the reasons that you said, and I'm on board with it because I really like that one too. It just not Maple Tree Way for me. Back to the handhelds, I guess.
Yeah, just two more. So the 3DS, what a killer title. We loved the introducing of the coins again. The gliders are such an exceptional addition to Mario Kart that have really changed the game for the better. And glad to see that's permanently around, we're hoping. And yeah, not much else to say about it. It's a solid title with so many great tracks.
Mario Kart 7 was such a strong entry in the series for so many reasons. I agree. I think that including the coins back in, like you said, was a really smart play. I think that it added... it made the game a little bit more dynamic. I liked the idea of, you only can go as fast as you possibly can when you have 10 coins. It makes you think about things a little bit differently, to be honest.
And that was the first one that I really got into online play and spent hundreds of hours competing against people worldwide. It was a great experience to have that on handheld. I
agree. It was one of the reasons that I bought my 3DS was that game, because I knew that I would get the mileage out of it, and I most certainly did. So let's start with you. What's your pick for this one? Or picks plural?
I couldn't choose between the Woohoo Loops. The Woohoo Loops were just so much fun. Mario Kart 7 was the first one to introduce a single course where you just start and go all the way through. And both Woohoo Loops are gorgeous. I couldn't choose one. I couldn't.
No, they're great though. It really was a bit of big change to the series as opposed to just the 3 laps of one circuit, or in the case of Baby Park 7 or whatever it was. But yeah, it was really cool to have one continuous loop, and we've seen it carry over into Mario Kart 8. More on that later.
Yeah, what
And
about you?
then
Well, this
for
was
me,
actually one that I almost chose.
I have to say, for me, out of the 3DS ones, I think it's Wario Shipyard. That was the one that I picked for this because I don't know. I was trying to rack my brain, and have we seen another level like that before? And I can't think of anything. Like it's a little bit creepy and stuff. And I just realized as we're talking about this, we don't have any of like the Boo's mansions or anything on our list. So just quick tangent on that. I think that's something that I'd like to see remade, one of those haunted house ones. But
Yeah,
this
Luigi's
one
Mansion
kind of
was
stands
almost my DS pick.
there. It solid one. But yeah, Wario Shipyard kind of stands on its own, both aesthetically and the tone that it sets and the color palette that it uses. And I think that Wario Shipyard has spectacular level design. I think that the track itself was just so fun to play.
I agree. No complaints there. And let's just keep the Wario love train going. Sorry, Waluigi.
Yes.
We did decide to pick a couple tracks from Mario Kart 8 as well. And if you're watching this, we're sure you've probably played it. So, real fast, my favorite track of the last one was definitely Mount Wario. It's so dynamic. It's got so many events that you really have to be prepared for. And the more you know that track, the more fun it is. And I still to this day always get excited when Mount Wario comes up in online play.
I have to be honest with you, the music in Mount Wario is probably one of the best songs in all of Mario Kart history.
Ooh, I also gotta tell you, I almost picked Dolphin Shoals specifically because I am so in love with the saxophone solo that.
Oh my god, yes.
The
You
music
know, once
from
upon
Mario
a
Kart 8 was just all the way across the board stellar.
the game as a whole is spectacular, and I probably couldn't talk about it enough. My pick for this one was kind of front and center when they announced the game, and that was Sunshine Airport. I really had become a little bit disenchanted with Nintendo for a little while, and I had no interest in picking up a Wii U until I saw Mario Kart 8. When I saw those first gameplay trailers of Sunshine Airport, I just thought, this is a game I need to play. And it is the reason that I bought my Wii U, and I'm happy that I did. And I'm happy that I've gotten another opportunity to play it a little bit differently on the Switch with, having 2 item slots and everything. But the music of Sunshine Airport, the aesthetic of Sunshine Airport, be it like driving around the planes and having the plane kind of fly off the runway as you're coming down the ramp, like it's such a great level. And I know that it is new to Mario Kart 8, but if they were to decide, we're going to pull a couple tracks from Mario Kart 8 and make them retro tracks, I really hope that Sunshine Airport is one of them.
Now, everything here has been in the name of good fun. We don't even know when we'll see another Mario Kart, or even if we'll see it on the Switch. Who knows, maybe we might just have to wait for the next Nintendo platform, but we certainly hope not.
But it's always fun to dream, especially for those of us who've been playing Mario Kart 8 since it was released on the Wii U in 2014. With all that said, we had a great time coming up with this list. It was really nice to change from speculating over the usual, who's gonna be in Smash?
What are some of the tracks that you'd love to see get a fresh coat of paint? There's so many to choose from. Tell us about some of your favorites in the comments below, or fire us a message on Twitter or Instagram.
Thank you so much for watching. For more nerdy content, please click that subscribe button.
As always, we hope you leave this video ready to pick up a Pro Controller, a paintbrush, or a pen. I'm Backrolls.
And I'm Mac Fraser, and this has been the Nintendo Nerds.